It's Platt, and today we go to church. That's next to Platt's Drink of the Week. All right, guys, got something a little different for you today. What we have is Christian Brothers California Ruby Port. I purchased this bottle at $6.99 at my local liquor store, so not a bad deal. Comes in at 19% alcohol. Most of your commercial wines will be between 12 and 15, so a little more bounce to the ounce, as the kids would say. Real quick, we'll start off with a little background on Christian Brothers. They literally are Christian Brothers, or more specifically, the De La Salle Christian Brothers Catholic Order. They were formed in 1680 and are the largest Catholic order of men dedicated solely to educational purposes and projects. The Archdiocese of San Francisco, I believe, a couple hundred years ago, invited them to come out and help educate the expanding West. Move ahead to 1882, and they decided to build their own community outside of the San Francisco area. I believe the town was Martinez. And on property, they started producing communal wine. Makes sense for Catholic order. After a while, the communal wine started gaining some acclaim or whatever, and they decided to start selling the wine to help raise funds for various projects, similar to the Belgian monks that produced the Trappist ales. A fun hobby that also raised funds for, doing good. So they took off from there, continued to kind of grow the winery whatever up until Prohibition. Now, in 1930, Martinez, the city had kind of grown out to Martinez, and they wanted to move a little further out in the country, so they found a plot of land in wine country, Napa Valley to be specific, and they purchased this plot of land for one of the reasons it came with a winery already on property, including 100,000 gallons of wine already made and another 3,000 or so gallons of unfermented grape juice ready to be made into wine. So they found the perfect spot for that. And of course, in Napa Valley, one of the great wine growing regions. And they were ready to go when Prohibition ended just a few years later. Move ahead to 1940, and Brother Timothy became the cellar master, and he kind of really ran the wine production for the order. He, in 1940, decided to take some of the grapes and create brandy, Christian Brothers brandy, that probably more people know of than the port and the wine is actually Christian Brothers brandy. That began in 1940. Brother Timothy kept at it for the next 40 years until 1986, when he decided to step down and retire. At the time, the order decided to sell the wine business. Today, it's still known as Christian Brother Wine, but the Catholic order has nothing to do with the company today. Move ahead now. Let's talk about port. What is port? It's something I don't talk about a ton on the channel. That's kind of why I wanted to try this series, start bringing a little different stuff. Port is a fortified wine produced in the Douro Valley of Portugal. When we use the term fortified wine, we mean that spirit, distilled spirit, has been added to the wine. Port specifically, they use a term called aguardente. It's not the same. When we say spirit, it's a great spirit. People think of brandy, but don't think of it necessarily as brandy because it hasn't been aged. Like I said, the term they use is aguardente, and it's generally unaged grape spirit that is then added to the wine. In port specifically, what they do is they'll take red wine grapes. There's 100 different varieties of grapes they can use. 5 are the most common, and probably the most popular of those is Tempranillo. They'll take those grapes, start a fermentation like they're going to make a regular wine, and then halt it about halfway through with the addition of that grape spirit. It goes ahead and stops the yeast activities, kills off the yeast. And what that does, though, is because the wine hasn't fully fermented, there's tons of residual sugar in that. And so you're going to get a very sweet wine, but with the addition of spirit, you're still at 19-20% alcohol by volume. So it's still fairly stout. Now, there are two major varieties of port. There is Ruby and Tawny. This particular one is a Ruby port. They tend to be dark ruby, maroon in color. They can be aged, but most of the time are not aged. They're stored in stainless steel vessels. This helps prevent oxidation of the wine. Also, the wine is fine and filtered, so it's aesthetically, visually looks like any other, mass-produced red wine there. Now, tawny ports are the ones that are aged. They're known for being a little older. Because they spend time in the barrels, the wine does oxidize a little bit. This helps produce a nutty flavor. Also, tawny ports tend to have a brownish color to them. Again, partly due to the exposure to wood, partly due to the oxidation. And tawny ports are the ones that you'll see these, 10, 20, 30-year-old age statements. Again, rubies can be aged, but generally aren't. If so, not too long. All right, well, that being said, let's jump in and give this port a try. Oh, real quick, while I'm opening this bottle, the term port is protected, similar to things like cognac and what have you. However, California has figured this one out too. They get to use the term California ruby port, whatever, similar to California champagnes, how the term champagne is protected, but California, you're not going to see a Alabama ruby port or anything like that. All right, let's go ahead and pour. Oh yeah, nice deep kind of ruby maroon color. You might not see it in the camera, but I can look through it, a fairly clear wine. Oh, you can just smell the sugar, but also the dark berries, the currants. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump on in. It's nice, real sweet. Ruby ports are a little simpler again because there is not that aging aspect. You're not picking up different things from the barrel. But just sweet, a little more viscous. Because it's a little higher alcohol, you're probably going to drink out of a snifter. You're not going to drink, most wines you'll get a 5-ounce pour. Something like this, you'll probably get a 3-ounce pour if you go out to like a nice restaurant or whatever. Again, due to the additional alcohol, due to the additional viscosity. Ports are generally an after-dinner drink, even though a lot of people use them as an aperitivo, which would be before the meal. A lot of people, because of that sugar content, drink them after the meal. Again, nice after like a big steak dinner, something like that. A lot of people like red wine with, those kind of dishes. A port is a nice little dessert type. If you want to skip the cheesecake, maybe try a port for sure. And so you're going to sip this. This is not, again, something you're going to get aggressively to drinking. Like I would not necessarily suggest killing a whole bottle of port by yourself. Maybe with a friend, kind of split, but really nice. Nice body, the sweetness, you got a little, like I said, after dinner sweet tooth, really works. They do not say, in my research, I have not found the grapes that they use. Most likely, Brother Timothy, when he started deciding to do brandy and the other products, they're probably bumper crops. Instead of producing too much wine, kind of, crashing the market a little bit, hey, let's create something else. It's a practice done in France. They have mobile distilleries, years that you have bumper crops. All right, let's turn some of that into port or, some kind of fortified wine, what have you. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or things from the liquor store you'd like me to try, please leave me in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Till next time, bottoms up.